Hello and welcome to Magic Time. In this episode, we will first be going over the latest news and happenings in the world of Magic. After that, I'm going to tell you what 15 cards you can expect to see in the From the Vaults Realms set that comes out this fall. Then, in Arts and Crafts, I'm going to show you how you can use Magic cards to make a Menger Sponge, and explain what is a Menger Sponge. And finally, in Tribe Time, I'm going to be going over my personal favorite creature type, Squirrels. Now, unless I'm mistaken, according to my watch, it's magic time. Well, in Magic news this episode, we start off with word of Nicol Bolas returning. At least in M13 anyway. Not so long ago, at a PAX convention not far away, Wizards of the Coast held a Magic panel to discuss its upcoming set, Avacyn Restored, and reveal new details on the upcoming Duels of the Planeswalker expansion. At the panel, there were a variety of videos showing trailers for the upcoming products, and in the picture you see before you, someone at PAX was kind enough to snap a photo of the M13 trailer, which shows at the end of it Nicol Bolas Planeswalker card, and behind him 5 more Planeswalker cards, one of each color. So, I'm glad to see the evil Elder Dragon is back, and look forward to the new Planeswalker cards that will join him. And if you're wondering what they are, well, I could tell you, but instead, I'll save that for another show. Hey, any of you out there been chomping at the bit to find out what the newest foil card to be included in the Walmart multi-pack bundles is going to be? No? Well, I'm not that surprised, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's Sunblast Angel! The card has found its way out early and is already in some people's hands, so if you need a foil Sunblast Angel to go along with your bundle of Cold Snap and Kamigawa packs, well, your wait is over. Wizards recently announced on the Mothership a new dual deck to be released on September 7th of this year, and it's Izzet vs. Golgari. For those of you who have no idea what an Izzet is, well, Izzet and Golgari are 2 of the guilds that can be found on the plane of Ravnica. Izzet represents mana colors of red and blue, where Golgari is fond of black and green. In the preview art, you can see a member of the Izzet Guild, the powerful dragon Niv Mizzet. Rumor has it the guy has ignited his Planeswalker Spark, but I guess we'll have to wait and see if he has in the upcoming fall set to Return to Ravnica, which drops in October. So, remember back in the day those super cool textless cards that you could get through the player rewards program? You know, like Celestial Purge and Damnation? They were pretty cool, right? And I'm putting emphasis on the word were, because they are no longer around. Wizards axed the program last year, so they will be missed, but we still get some cool foil alternate art gateway promo cards to help fill the void left behind by the now defunct Player Rewards Cards program. Well, not anymore, we don't. Wizards recently put the kibosh on that now as well, so farewell my beloved promo cards. You were fun while you lasted. But now if you want your promo fix, you'll have to depend on pre-releases, game days, and attending a Grand Prix or a Pro Tour. These are dark days for promo fans. Hopefully, they don't get much darker. Not all that long ago, Wizards announced their newest From the Vault set, and following up after last year's Legends set, we will be getting From the Vault Realms. It will be released August 31st and will revolve around lands. Now, unlike some previous From the Vault sets, like last year's Legends and the Relic set from a few years back, From the Vault Realms will not feature a preview card from this fall's new block, Return to Ravnica. Instead, we'll see 15 classic lands from Magic's long history as long as they are not included in the no reprint list, that is. Now, first we'll start off with the preview art that was shown in the Magic Arcana article announcing the set. As you can see, we have quite a bit of ice and snow in the picture. Some have argued that it's a new art for Dark Depths, but those people are wrong. While others have said that it is clearly new artwork for the land of Melting Glaciers, they too would be wrong due to the fact that Melting Glaciers is on the no reprint list. But really, is it that hard? Look, right here. We have a glacier and a giant chasm. Pretty sure if you put 2 and 2 together, we have a glacial chasm. So, 1 down and 14 to go. Next up is the biggie of the set, the real selling point, the Big Enchilada. And that card is Karakas. Yes, the card that is running at excessive prices right now, north of $55, will be included in the set. Now, despite being printed all the way back in Legends, Karakas is not on the no reprint list because it wasn't printed originally as a rare. therefore saving it from the cursed list. But why reprint this land? Well, for a few reasons. One, it's never been reprinted before, ever. So it's a great opportunity for this to get some new art. In fact, they already have new art for it. The art that was commissioned for it to be used in the Magic Online Cube Draft. So perhaps we've already got a good idea of how it will look. Now, one of the reasons the card is so expensive is because of the hugely popular Star City Games Invitational Series that travels around the country and features legacy tournaments nearly every weekend. And one great card that you can use in your legacy decks is Caracas. But since there are so few in existence and such a large demand for legacy staples nowadays, the price has gone sky high. And in case you need yet another reason to reprint this card, it would be a great land to have in those kitchen table commander games. Since every commander deck has at least one legend, its bouncing ability would be a great use. So get ready to see Caracas headlining From the Vault Realms this fall. So, while we're talking about exciting lands that will make it into the set, how about Maze of Ith? That would be a pretty cool one, right? Another older card that has only seen reprint once as a judge foil, it's another great card to run in Legacy and add to your favorite commander deck. And it deserves to be printed in this premium set, if not solely for the reason that it was originally printed in the Magic set The Dark, so it's really suffered enough already. Well, how about another Legacy staple that could use a price drop? How about Rashandan Port, the land that taps other lands, and the land that Goblin decks play that doesn't say mountain on it. Perhaps even more exciting than Rashandan Port is our next card. The most sought-after land in Legacy, outside of dual lands, of course, and that would be Wasteland. This card used to go for under $10 before the Star City Games Invitational Series, but once Legacy was back with a vengeance, this land suddenly spiked at a price point of over $50. It has since settled back down to around $35, but still, that's a lot of money for a land card. And if Wizards was willing to reprint Strip Mine in a previous From the Vault set, I don't see why they wouldn't print its little brother Wasteland. Now, some of the other lands in the set I believe will be chosen on what colors they produce, what they mean to the game, and they should be able to represent as many planes of Magic as they can. So, how about City of Brass? That makes every color, right? And it could really use some new updated artwork. Green can have Pendelhaven, the cool legendary land that stands up for the little guy. White already has Caracas, and blue could have Academy Ruins, the great little card from Time Spiral block. And the black land should be obvious. It's none other than Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, the most awesomest black card around. Some, however, may argue that the black land should be Cabal Coffers, but that was just reprinted recently in the Plane Chase box set at uncommon rarity. Just get over it, guys. Urborg has been, still is, and will always be the way cooler black land. As for the red land, well, there just isn't going to be one. It could be Valakut, maybe, but Zendikar has a more deserving land to represent it. Other than that, red has really gotten the short end of the stick in recent years as far as lands go, but it's okay. The From the Vault Dragon set was almost entirely red, so if it skips out on this set, I don't think I'll lose any sleep over it. And if you red mages are crying foul, well, then just consider City of Brass as the red land. The rest of the lands will be representative of their respective planes or realms. The card to represent Cold Snap has to be Dark Depths, due to the fact that it has the ability to make a 20/20 flying indestructible monstrosity, and due to this infamous pairing with a certain Hex Mage that resulted in its banning. We were recently in the plane of Mirrodin, but it wasn't the Scars block that produced the most representative land for the artifact-heavy plane. It was the original romp through the land created by Karn. Its Glimmervoid, though, see a printing in this From the Vault set. Next up is Kamigawa, and this one was a little tougher to find a representative for, as most of the lands had something strange or awkward to do with legendary creatures, and this set already has a land focusing on legends, and that's Caracas. So instead, we'll include a land that just screams, build around me, and that card is Mirren the Moaning Well. Sorry beside you, maybe next time. After Kamigawa, we travel to Ravnica, and before you say, oh, I know what's going to get reprinted in the set, one of the Shocklands, right? No, you are not right. Besides the problem of trying to decide which of the 10 Shocklands would get reprinted, they wouldn't print a Shockland in this set because they're going to reprint all 10 of them soon anyway in the upcoming Returned Ravnica block this fall. Instead, you should expect to see Pillar of the Peyruns, as it's a nice addition to this realm set, and it really represents the Ravnica plane well, as it focuses on multicolor cards. After Ravnica was Time Spiral, but we already have Academy Ruins in the set, not to mention other lands from the realm of Dominaria like Pendelhaven. So we'll skip ahead to the plane of Lorwyn, which was focused on creature types. And what better creature type matters land than Mutavault, which is not only a land that is every creature type, but also a man land, which is something you have to print in this From the Vault set, as it would be the only man land in the set. So finally we reach the end, the 15th card of the set. Here we have to decide on which card is coming out of Zendikar, the block that featured lands. And since earlier I mentioned it wouldn't be Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle, instead it's going to be Eye of Ugin, one of only 2 mythic lands in existence. This land can summon the mightiest Eldrazi from your deck, or maybe a Mindslaver, and is only one of 2 cards in this set that doesn't tap for mana. But it's so awesome, it doesn't have to. So there you have it, the 15 lands that will be printed in the From the Vault Realm set this fall. You may argue that all the cards I named are far too expensive to be put in one set, but Wizards has 2 different fan bases to appeal to with a land-based set. Remember how much trouble Mark Rosewater had selling the Zendikar block to his higher-ups? As it was a block that was based on lands, which are usually not that exciting. Well, the casual player will probably not be too excited about this set, so you're going to have to take it up a notch to get their attention. Plus, more hardcore players are still disappointed from last year's From the Vault set. So Wizards has a reason to make a strong comeback with this one. And besides, all of the From the Vault sets were crazy expensive at first anyway, and usually got under control price-wise after the initial frenzy. So, when you're enjoying your new foil lands this August, just remember, you heard it here first. Okay, today in Arts and Crafts, I'm going to show you how to make a Menger sponge using magic cards. Now, the first thing you're going to need is some old cards that you're not going to want anymore. So I went with some basic lands here. But you can use commons or token cards or anything you want, really. So for the first step, for a level 0 Menger Sponge, or just a building block, we're going to need 6 cards. So I got my 6 cards here, and I'll set the rest of these over here. And now I'll put these off to the side and grab our first card. Now, we're going to be making 2 folds in this card. The first one is going to be a little below the line here where it says Plains. So I'll fold it here and see if I can show you an example. Alright, I'm a little out of practice. I haven't done it for a couple days here. So I will fold here like so, and that's maybe a little further down than I'd like, but not bad, it'll work. So now on the bottom here, we're going to want to make a line just above the mana symbol, or technically below if you're looking at it from the other way, but I'll make a fold here, and that's pretty much what you're looking for right there. It's a little below the mana symbol, and the flap should be about the same as the top. So now we have a folded card with 2 flaps, so that's looking pretty good, so we'll set that to the side. So we'll grab our second card, and we're going to do the same thing, a little below the line where it says Forest, and that's a lot better than what I had for the Plain, so this is what you're going to want to do more than what I did on the first card. So here we go, we'll make another fold right below the mana symbol, and pretty good, so that'll work. Now, if you want to check to see if they are going to fit together right, you can stamp them on top. You can put them on top of one another, and they fit together all right, so that's good. So we're going to move on to our mountain, and we'll fold it right like so, and pretty good. And we'll go under the mana symbol here, and pretty good. All right. Now, once you do this a few times, you start to get a hang of it, and after a dozen or so, you start to get a real knack for it. You can really do this a lot faster without having to hesitate, and you get a real feel for it. So, fold down up real quick. That one's good. Take care of this island here. All right, that's a good fold, and below the mana symbol, pretty good. And our last one. See if we can get this Plains a little better than the first one. Yep. All right. And last fold there. There we go. So now we have 6 of them, and if you stack them all on top of one another like this, you can get an idea to see if they're all, about the same size and know what you're working with. And we'll go here like this, and there you go. They don't fit perfect, but it's good enough. It shouldn't be a problem. All right. So now we'll take our 6 folded cards like so, and I'll set them down. I'm going to take 3 of them to start off to make our building block. So we'll set them like this, 3 in a row, and then on the first one and the third one, we're going to twist it sideways like this. Now, I'm going to take this card here, and I'm going to get the flap on the bottom of the middle one. We're underneath the middle one, just like so. And we're going to do the same thing with this card right here. We're going to get sure that the swamp flap is below the island. So now, we'll set it down like this. The middle card is holding the 2 vertical cards up, and we'll twist it 90 degrees, and we're going to take our 4th card. Now, with the fourth card, you're going to slide it along the side, and you're going to have the island's flap on the outside again. All the flaps on the cards when you're making this are going to be on the outside. Just keep that in mind. I'll try to show you an example here, but I'm trying not to let this fall apart. All right. So maybe you got to look. I'll show you a little better later. All right, we take our fifth card, and we're going to do the same thing as we did with our land just a moment ago, like this. All right, so this is almost falling apart, so I'm going to twist it around and just finish it here and then show you. So we'll twist another 90 degrees, take the last card, and we'll put it on top. And once again, this flap is going to be on the outside, and this last flap here is going to be the tricky one. We got to reach inside and pull it out like so, and there we go. And it pops into place. So now, as you can see, we have a cube. All the flaps are on the outside of it, and it's held together. You don't need any tape. You don't need any glue. This is just 6 magic cards folded and held into place. And it's pretty sturdy, as you can see. It doesn't move around. You can toss it around, and it's pretty good. So now this block here is going to be the building block for our Menger sponge. Now, to build a Menger sponge, a level 1 Menger sponge, we're going to have to combine a few of these blocks. So, over here, I have made a second block. This one's also pretty sturdy, and I'm going to show you how to put them together. Now, you take the flaps, and you have 2 vertical and 2 horizontal. So, we're going to pull out one flap here. There's a mountain one, and we're going to slip it between these 2 flap corners here. So, I slide that in, and now you can see we have kind of a hinge going on. So we have our hinged block, and now we're going to take this forest flap and hook it to these 2 flaps here, just like we did the other side. So I'll slide in sideways here. You just want to be careful so you don't rip your blocks apart. And there we go. So now it's all hooked together, and it's one piece. It's all held together, it's not falling apart, and it's pretty sturdy again. And now, just like a chain, your blocks that you build together here are only as strong as your weakest block. So that's why you want to make sure that they're pretty sturdy. And you can take more blocks and you can connect them together however you want. You can make any shapes that you can out of how you can connect them. And I'm going to show you how to make the Menger sponge here in just a moment. So I have these 3 here, and I'm going to set them aside. I'll put them over here actually. And now I'm going to show you 3 cards to give you a better idea of how you should be folding and how not to fold. Now this forest card right here is too close to the line. That's not what you want to do. As you can see there, yep, it's right on line. This middle one, this mountain, this is correct. And this plains looks like the first plains that I did, where I folded it a little too much. Alright, so we'll set these down, and I'm going to show you a way that you can test to see if it's the right size. Now take this one that's folded too close to the line there, and you can look underneath here, too close to the line. And there's a gap underneath the symbol, so that's not what you want. But if you take a regular magic card here, and you put it in between the 2 folds, you'll see that there is a gap. It slides around, it's not snug, it's not good. So that's how you know that the card is too far apart. So that's no good. Now this is the correct kind. This is what we did 6 times here just to make that block recently. Now if you see here, you can get a look at how the folds look. Give you a better idea. And you take this card and you slide it in, and you see here we have a nice snug fit. It doesn't move around up and down, and this is exactly what you want. That's good. So this is the first one that I did wrong. Well, I almost did wrong, but this is folded too much. So when you try to slide the card in here, you will notice the card is too wide to even fit between the 2 folds, so that's no good. If you try to put these together, they won't even fit because they're folded too close and you can't get them to slide in. So you want this middle kind here, and what happens if you try to make a block and the folds are too close to the line? Well, I'll show you. You can actually make a block where they're too close to the line, but the problem is it's too weak, it's too flopping around, it's no good. And if you try to connect a good block to this flimsy block, here, I'll show you here, this is a little flimsy, you can see this is a good block, it doesn't slide around, so that's good. And if you try to connect them together, you're going to end up having a not very good Menger sponge, because these here, when you try to get the flaps folded together, it just falls apart, and that's no good. That's not what you want. So I'm going to show you what you can do with these Menger sponges. We're going to take 20 of these blocks, put them together, and I'm going to show you the result here. Alright, and now I took 20 of those blocks, and I placed them together to make this, a level 1 Menger Sponge. Now, as you can see here, there are 20 of those blocks, and since each block took 6 cards to make, this level 1 Menger Sponge takes 120 cards to make. And now, here's this little block here, and 20 of those. And now, if you want to make a level 2 block, you're going to need 20 of these level 1s. And now, if you're wondering how many cards that is, well, a level 2 Menger Sponge would take 2,400 magic cards. And you can even go beyond that. If you want to go to level 3, that's going to take 48,000 magic cards. And if you really want to go nuts, level 4, that's 960,000 magic cards. So there you go. Something to do for fun. Maybe if you're sitting around on Friday Night Magic, a little bored, build yourself a Menger Sponge. In this episode's Tribe Time, I'm going to highlight my personal favorite magic creature type, Squirrels. So, let's start off by asking how many squirrels have been printed in Magic's long history. Do you know? Well, the answer may surprise you, as there are only 2 squirrels ever printed. That's only one more than Lamassu. However, there are a lucky 13 cards in total that have something to do with squirrels. So, let's take a look back at where it all began. It was 1997. We were all enjoying the latest chart toppers from the Spice Girls and Savage Garden when a little magic set came out named Weatherlight that started the squirrel craze. It was a Liege of Hollows that allowed players to pay mana upon its death in order to put 1/1 green squirrel tokens into play. 2 years later, it was Urza's Legacy that got the poster boy for the Squirrel Tribe, its very own lord in the form of Deranged Hermit. This guy was great. 5 mana bought you a total of 9 power and 9 toughness spread over 5 bodies. It puts Cloud Goat Ranger to shame. It did have an echo cost to worry about, but even if you didn't pay it, you still had 4 squirrel tokens ready for shenanigans. Deranged Hermit is a tough card to follow, and a year later in Prophecy, Squirrel Wrangler didn't challenge the Hermit's throne. But, to make up for the unexciting Squirrel Wrangler and the unexciting set that was Prophecy, rodent fans everywhere were about to enter the golden age of squirrels in 2001's Odyssey block, which featured 8 squirrel cards, including the only 2 actual squirrel creatures, Crozian Beast and Squirrel Mob. These cards featured a couple of block mechanics, including Threshold and Flashback. So while we were enjoying a squirrel renaissance, little did we know of the grueling wait that was about to happen. It took 5 long years before another card was printed in Magic that had the word squirrel on it, and that was Time Spiral's Swarmyard, which didn't even make squirrel tokens. Swarmyard did not act as a taste of things to come, as it was yet another long 5-year wait for the release of the Commander box sets in 2011, which included new and old cards, and one of those new cards was Acorn Catapult. Finally, after a decade, there was a card which made squirrel tokens again. But while Acorn Catapult was nice to see, it was ultimately a bittersweet moment in Squirrel history, as it was only legal in Legacy play, and the Commander box set did not even include any 1/1 green squirrel tokens. And now, to this day, Acorn Catapult is the most recent card to see print that has any mention of squirrels. So while we didn't get any squirrel tokens in the Commander box sets, we can take solace in the fact that there are official squirrel tokens in existence. One is the Silver Bordet token from the Unglued set, and no, by the way, I'm not including the 2 squirrel cards that were printed in the unsets, Form of the Squirrel and Squirrel Farm, in the official count of squirrel cards. And the other token is now from the extinct Player Reward program during the Odyssey set. However, if you take a look online, you'll see that not only are these tokens sold out in most online stores, they cost $6 for the silver bordered cards and $15 for the player reward ones. Good golly gracious, that's a lot of money for a squirrel token. And I'm not talking about sets of 4 here, I'm talking about each. $6 and $15 for each token. But maybe I'll check somewhere else online. eBay, perhaps. They usually have some for sale and sometimes cheaper, so let's take a look here. Oh no. Oh jeez. Oh come on! Really? $18 for a token card? And they can't even include shipping? Give me a break. Wizards, you have to print some squirrel cards again, or ones that make squirrel tokens, if not for the sole purpose of printing new 1/1 green squirrel tokens to be placed in booster packs to help drive down these outrageous prices, or at least act as an alternative to these wallet-destroying tokens. Well, I'm going to try to calm down a bit and take a quick look at the art that we see on many of the Squirrel Magic cards, and what real-life squirrel breeds inspired them. Virtually every squirrel creature is heavily inspired by 2 different breeds of squirrels, the red squirrel and the fox squirrel, especially the fox squirrel, as many feature its unique long pointy ears. However, one squirrel card that has seen print is neither red or pointy-eared, and that is Odyssey's Chatter of the Squirrel. This guy takes after the Indian palm squirrel with its striped back and long tail. So, can we expect any Magic cards in the future to feature our favorite bushy-tailed friends? I don't see why Wizards is holding off. Tribal is a very popular aspect of the game, and it's a well-known fact that there is a large, if not cult-like fan base for squirrel cards. But if there's one ray of hope for squirrel fans, it's Zach Hill. Some of you may not know who Zach is. Well, allow me to enlighten you. Zach is a current member of Magic R&D, and prior to his hiring, was a well-known player in the tournament and Pro Tour scene, and for several years he wrote an article for Star City Games entitled, wait for it, Chatter of the Squirrel. Zach Hill is what you would call an avid squirrel aficionado. So, if there's any hope for squirrels returning with a vengeance, that hope lies in Zach's hands. So in this day of modern technology, why not let our voices be heard and send Zach a message that we want our squirrels? Zach can be found on Twitter at ZDCH. If you are wondering what you could message him, you could ask him nicely to encourage Wizards to print more squirrel cards, or you could just bombard him with a bevy of squirrel-related Magic pun names, like my personal favorite, Emra Squirrel, the Acorns Torn. And be sure to include the hashtag I'm making up right now, more squirrels, please. And with any luck, we'll be plopping down 1/1 green squirrel tokens in Standard again for the first time in over a decade. Because if Wizards prints new squirrel cards, I have no doubt the Magic community would undoubtedly go nuts. Heyo! Well, I want to thank all of you for tuning in and watching my first episode of Magic Time. If you liked what you saw, feel free to leave a comment below or subscribe to my channel, as there'll be many more Magic Times to come. And if you want to get a hold of me and send me a message or a comment or send me some of your Magic fan art, you can find me at my website, Orangemustache.com. Or you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Vimeo, Blip.tv, pretty much everywhere. Well, everywhere except MySpace. No one uses MySpace anymore. So I'll see you next time on Magic Time.